Whoa, hello. Hey, Joe. Greetings. Greetings from Sober Island, Nova Scotia. Yeah, it would suck there. Not much to do in Nova Scotia as it is. If you're sober, it's probably worse. Oh, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the show. Inauguration Day 2025. Fun times. That's what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about all things Trump related. You know, it's the day, right? What are you going to do? January 20th just happens to fall on the podcast day, and that's what I'm going to talk about. So if you're here, well, thanks for being here. Joe, obviously, thanks for being with me. If you don't like politics, well, sorry. If you don't like lighting issues, well, sorry about that too, because for some reason my lighting is weird today, so I have to work on that. But I didn't really have time. I was, dealing with other stuff. And today you can see I'm wearing a sweater. It's flipping cold everywhere. Cold has snatched us all up. What's up, Robert? There you are, brother. Yeah. So yeah, if you are watching the podcast and you're not yet a subscriber, do subscribe to the channel to not miss the lively and great conversations we have about various things, like today being all things Trump. And jump into the chat. My boys here jump into the chat with me, which is nice. It makes it a little more fun for me. It makes it fun for you. Got things to say it in the chat. I will respond and we can talk about stuff. First time since the 2020 elections that my profile flag has been in the correct position. That's funny. Finally getting some rain here after weeks of dry rain season. Yeah, well, we're getting nothing but cold where I am. Like it's frigid, man. I'm cold inside my house, so it's I don't know if the heat's just not working well enough to go against the frigid temperatures outside, but it's chilly, man. It's chilly. Yeah. So let's just get right into it, man, because we're going to talk a lot about what's going on today with the inauguration, what Biden did with some uh, preemptive pardons. Like what else? You can't make this shit up, man. This is weird stuff. You're preemptively pardoning people that haven't been charged with any crimes or anything. What is that? That is the weirdest shit ever. If Trump did anything like that prior to to leaving office in 2021, it would have been, man, it would have been like dictator city. But when Biden does it, it's fine. No, don't worry about it. He's pardoning his family. He's pardoning everybody. So weird. Yeah, and and also Vivek. Vivek is leaving Doge. Yeah, don't like it. Don't know how I feel about it. It's but I don't like it. He's gonna run for the Ohio governor. The vacancy in the Ohio governor governorship, because the Ohio governor, can't seem to say that, has run into the end of his term limit. So that's what Vivek's going to do. Unfortunately, I would like to have seen him in the Doge thing, but I think Musk will do a decent enough job by himself. So it is what it is. But I don't know how good this is for his. Well, I don't know. I guess it's probably equal for his future presidential run, because it's going to happen. We all know he's going to run for president again, probably in 2028 or whatever, for 2020. Well, for the 2029, whatever, 2028 to 2032, which starts in 2029. But yeah, so we'll talk about that. But let's get right into it right away. What are you guys saying before? Minus 22. Yeah, exactly. It's fucking cold, man. I don't know how else to say it. Minus 22, you wouldn't even know what that is, Robert, unless you remember Canada. But it's brutal. Yeah, that cold, man. That's cold. That's colder than your freezer. Your freezer doesn't even go to minus 22. So if you want shit to deep freeze outside of your freezer, just put it outside. Why don't you like Vivek, Joe? Come on, man. He really had a mask off moment when he said Americans are lazy. He's cooked. Well, he's trying to. I think that was taken. I think that's one of those things where he's trying to say that we're becoming lazy more so than Americans are lazy. I don't know, but I think a lot of that kind of stuff is taken out of context a little bit. But I like Vivek. I think he could be pretty good. I think he's sensible. So, anyways, inauguration speech was spot on. Yeah, he was pretty spot on. I gotta say, Trump's a different guy. 8 years later, he is a completely different guy. No bullshit. A little bit of bluster in there, but whatever. That's Trump. But we'll talk about it. Let's get into it. I'm going to plop this this video up here. Whoop. Or sorry, not this video. This news page up here. There we go. Okay. So right away, I'm having technical difficulties here. Okay. So yeah, so this is an article from the BBC about the Trump sort of inauguration and what he's starting with. So we'll kind of start there before we get into the discussion of what he talked about and whatnot. But here we go. Okay, so the BBC says Trump declares national emergency at border in first speech to nation. So Donald Trump has proclaimed America's decline is over as he vowed to act swiftly through sweeping executive action, including declaring a national emergency at the U.S.-Mexico border. Another funny thing, he said in his inaugural speech that they were going to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which is kind of cool. I don't know why it's called the Gulf of Mexico, to be honest. It's, realistically, I would think that America oversees that Gulf more than Mexico, and there's probably more drilling going on from American companies in there than any Mexican company. So I don't know why they're calling it the Gulf of Mexico, but anyways, I thought that was kind of funny. What are you guys saying here? I think Vivek and Elon want to make America more Canadian by bringing in a bunch of DOT Indians. Okay. Anyways, well, you're a little ahead of the story. You're talking about the Vivek thing, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But right now we're talking about the Trump inauguration and some of the things he's kind of committed to first work on. In his inaugural address, Trump said he's confident and optimistic as he returns to the White House with a mandate to completely and totally reverse a horrible betrayal, referring to the last 4 years under his predecessor, Joe Biden. Following the ceremonial peaceful transfer of power, Trump said he planned to sign a series of executive orders to crack down on the border, boost domestic energy, and end government-mandated diversity programs. Yeah, and he did say that 2 genders. That's it. That's all the government's going to recognize, 2 genders, which I think that, I don't know, they did it for hundreds of years. I don't know why it stopped, but we're getting back to that. So common sense. The golden age of America begins right now, he said from the U.S. Capitol Rotunda, where the ceremony had been moved due to the freezing temperatures outside. I think partially freezing temperatures, partially security issues. That would be my guess. Trump outlined a number of steps he plans to immediately take, including sending troops to the border. Great idea. Declaring some gangs and drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and reinstating the controversial Remain in Mexico that requires that migrants wait for their asylum proceedings on the Mexican side of the border. Okay, so here's the thing about that. A lot of people would say that isn't, it's not nice, it's not fair, it's unsafe for these asylum seekers to have to remain in Mexico while they wait to get through the U.S. asylum process. I don't think that's the U.S.'s concern. I mean, sure, it's nice. In a perfect world, it could happen very fast, and everybody that seeked asylum had legitimate reasons to do so, fear of their life, things like that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, this is not the U.S.'s responsibility to be the referee or the savior or any of that for the world. So if you seek to come to the U.S., you should have to do it legally. And if there's a wait, well, that's too bad. I mean, realistically, it's how it is. It's how life is. I don't know why people seem to think that they can skirt around these kinds of things. And yeah, you should remain in the country that you're seeking asylum from, and to the country that you want to get into. You should have to you wait until it happens. So I don't know why we would take them in first and then be like, okay, well, now we'll figure it out. It's not been done in good faith, so why would we think it's going to be done in good faith? So at this point, I think that's just common sense. I love that. And again, I don't see why anybody would say that it's America's responsibility to be the protectors of everyone seeking asylum, whether it's justified or not. You're saying, you mean, I don't know what you guys are saying here. Not DOT like that. Jewelry they put on. I don't know where you guys are getting in on here. I'm trying to get in on your conversation here in the live chat, but I don't know what you're saying. So talk amongst yourselves, I suppose. I'll carry on. All illegal entry will be immediately halted, he said, adding that his administration will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. I have no higher responsibility than to defend our country from the threats and invasions. Again, common sense, I would think it's an America first approach, which I don't know how anybody who's American can argue that, other than people that seem to want to watch systems burn down or, just hate on success, I suppose. I don't know. But all seems pretty straightforward and common sense to me. We're not dumping the grounds of the world. I want the executive order saying all signage must be in English. There's parts of where I live where everything for a mile is in Mexican. Well, yeah. Now, okay. So I agree. So I'm from Canada, right? So in Canada we have two official languages. We have French and English. If you go to, say, Quebec, you're going to see primarily French with a good, strong secondary English. It's quite easy to get around, and and even as an English speaking person and not a French speaking person, you can get around without really too much problem. But I would think the other way isn't as easy. I would think that you're trying to get around the country as a primarily French speaking person, you would have a hard time in a lot of the provinces in Canada, which, if we're primarily an English speaking country, then we should just focus primarily on English with a secondary as French. So you just have to expect that. In the States, it's primarily English speaking country, but you do have, what do you call it? You have Spanish as a secondary, especially in a lot of the southern states. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be frustrating if you get up some of the northern states and people are speaking different languages and you can't really understand, or for them, conversely, if they speak a different language and they can't speak. But again, if you're going to a country where they primarily speak a language, it's incumbent on you to make sure that you understand the primary language well enough to get around. So we just live in a time now where it seems like people are a lot more tolerant of differences, and we don't force people to sort of amalgamate to our culture or to whatever, or to our norms, that kind of thing. So in that case, I'm fine with that. You have two official languages, but our only national language is English. Yeah, no, I agree. But again, you do have a very big population of Spanish speaking, especially in the southern states. So, it's tough. I don't know. It's like the whole western side of the world, basically. North America it's just one big melting pot as far as people are coming to, and you get different languages and stuff. But like I said, to reiterate my initial point, yeah, if the national language is English, well, you should know how to speak English, and there should be a test along with a civics test. Anyways, okay, so I'll carry on. Where was I here? Birthright citizenship, however, is enshrined in the U.S. Constitution, would require 2/3 vote in both chambers of Congress to change. The official provided no further detail on how Trump plans to accomplish this. Always saying he's going to end birthright citizenship. Again, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's controversial. I don't really have an opinion on that. I don't know how that completely helps with anything anyway. I don't know. Maybe it just helps with the immigration, streamlining immigration. In Trump's speech, the first of his second administration, he also promised a complete overhaul of the U.S. trade system and the declaration of a national energy emergency, which officials said earlier would address the high cost of energy for consumers. Fantastic. Like, honestly, of course, that should be something. We are so rich in energy. There's no reason why we should be paying high prices for gas, natural gas, all of it. Anything to do with energy, it should all be low. While Trump promised to tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens. Oh, and by the way, based on that, this whole idea that he's going to tax Canada 25%, there's a stay on that. So, like I kind of alluded to my last podcast, I think it was a real like a flex tactic to try and push our government out of this garbage progressive government that we're in currently into a more nationalistic, for the people type government, which I think we're shifting that way now. Thanks in part for some of these threats of policy changes from Trump, like tariffs and such. So yeah, but I don't see that tariff coming in and actually, being, the way it was threatened to be enacted. I don't see it happening. So that's good news for us. Trump had previously said he would impose new tariffs on goods entering the U.S. from Canada, Mexico, and China his first day in office. So again, not so much Canada. His fiery remarks also included a promise to rename the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America, as well as the tallest mountain in North America, Denali, to Mount McKinley, its name until it was changed by President Barack Obama in 2015, which I think was stupid originally to change it. Why not leave it the way it was? I think it's kind of cool that he's changing it back. He also repeats the promise to take back the Panama Canal, which he claims is treating U.S. ships unfairly and being operated by China. Okay, so he has said a few different things that he's going to do. But if you watch the inauguration speech, you'll know that it was pretty subdued. There was, as there always is with Trump, there was bluster in there where he was talking about, the assassination attempt on him, how, he was saved by God to make America great again. I don't know. Maybe a little luck. Maybe. I don't know. Could be. But it seems a little bit, for me, I wouldn't say something like that. It just seems so self-righteous to say it. I'm ordained by God. I don't think any one man's ordained by God but, it would have been a different country if that had been successful, that attempt. So he's onto something, I guess. Also, he speaks obviously a lot about the golden age, which is, it would be nice if North America in general, because I'm Canadian, but I'm hoping to jump on your little bandwagon here and get some of the fall offs of a good U.S. economy, in form of my stock investments and things like that, which I've started now investing pretty heavily in energy and things like that. So I'm hoping for a big swing up from that kind of stuff, thanks to Trump and some of his policy. I'll say his teasings, his policy teasings, because he hasn't done anything yet. But we seen Joe here. Jambar Singh threatened Trump, so he had to back off. He is going to be your next PM after all. Jambar Singh. Yeah. Jagmar, douche. You don't think the Pope is ordained by God? You're going to get into a different conversation altogether there if we talk about the Pope and any ordainment by God, because that's a little weird. But he'll shake Canada hard till it either comes right or breaks, and if it breaks, he'll buy the pieces. Manifest destiny was in the speech. Yeah. Hey, listen, I've said it before. I don't really care. I don't care if Canada is its own thing. I have no real national pride to Canada. I'm not like, ooh, Canada. I don't look at it that way. I think that Canada and the U.S. are kind of the same damn place. We're all one giant continent. And it does feel like a lot of times we are the 51st state. So I don't really care either way. If it's President Trump or, Prime Minister, whatever, fucktard at this point, but hopefully Polyev. I don't really care either way. It's all about what's in my bank account, what I'm bringing in for my family, and how I can enrich myself and my loved ones. So really, whoever's running the ship, as long as they're running it good, that's all I care about. But yeah, so I mean, I thought the inauguration was pretty subdued. He was pretty calm. He did get his digs in from time to time a little bit, and insulted Biden. He insulted the Biden administration, of course, by saying betrayal and that kind of stuff. That's always find that a little weird when they're talking like that, and Biden's in the front row. But whatever. Trump doesn't shy away from a good insult. So, but yeah, it was pretty good. This is going to be seemingly a different presidency. Pretty excited about it now. I mean, he got through to today without anything happening. So, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes, I guess, over the next little bit. He's going to be doing a bunch of executive actions now, signing a bunch of executive orders. So we'll see how that plays out. Right. Alaska needs to be connecting. What's that? Needs connecting. QED. Oh, yeah, through Canada. Yeah, I get it. Listen, we'll give you we give the states part of like BC or something. We'll give like a nice pathway up through the mountains. You can get up to Alaska. No problem. It's fine. We don't need it anyway. We got a ton of land. We're fine. Yeah, opening up Alaska. Yeah. So yeah, he did say some stuff. I mean, he's been talking for the last little while too. Russians are still moping about Alaska 160 years on. Well, you make a bad deal and you're not so happy about it, I guess. But yeah. All right, let me get on to the next thing here. This one, I don't even know what to say about this, but we'll talk about it. So Biden on his exit, geez, man, he's been doing he's done more in the last month on his exit, essentially, than he did in 4 years of presidency. He's now pre-pardoning people. That's pretty effed up, man. You don't really see that very often. In fact, you don't see it. Presidents don't pre-pardon people that haven't been charged with crimes or aren't doing jail time for various things. Let me get into this article here. This is a little nutty here. This is the CBC, so this is the garbage that we have up here in Canada. So I like to include it sometimes just so you can see the garbage Canadian perspective. Again, not even the Canadian perspective. This is the propagandist perspective from the North, where I am. Biden issues preemptive pardons for Anthony Fauci, Liz Cheney, and family members. So Joe Biden, in some of his final acts as U.S. president, pardoned Dr. Anthony Fauci, retired General Mark Milley, House committee members who investigated the January 6th attack on Capitol, and members of his own family. Biden pardons come after Donald Trump, who was sworn in as president shortly after noon Monday. Here we go. This is where the propaganda comes in. Warned of an enemies list filled with those who have crossed him politically or sought to hold him accountable for his attempt to overturn his 2020 election loss and his role in the storming of the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. That whole sentence there is dog shit. It's just written dog shit. It's propagandist dog shit. And anybody who doesn't know how to, doesn't have a critical thought in their head would read that and go, I read it for the dog shit that it is. Thank you, CBC, for being garbage. You're going to be defunded the minute the government changes, so go fuck yourself. But let's read on. The issuance of these pardons should not be mistaken as an acknowledgement that any individual engaged in any wrongdoing, nor should acceptance be misconstrued as an admission of guilt for any offense, Biden said in a statement. Our nation owes these public servants a debt of gratitude for their tireless commitment to our country and their tireless commitment to try and lynch Donald Trump. It's customary for a president to grant clemency at the end of his term, but those acts of mercy are usually offered to everyday Americans who have been convicted of crimes. But Biden has used the power in the broadest and most untested way possible to pardon those who have not even been investigated yet. And with the acceptance comes a tacit admission of guilt or wrongdoing. Excuse me. Even though those who have been pardoned have not been formally accused of any crimes. So at least that statement they're actually saying, that's actually kind of news in there. They put some news in there. I guess they have to filter in some news with propaganda and shit. But that's a pretty, that's a pretty acceptable statement to say that. And that's because that's what he did. Biden issued blanket pardons for his brother, James, and his wife, Sarah, his sister, Valerie, and her husband, John Owens, and his brother, Francis. In other words, the syndicate. Biden said his family had been subjected to unrelenting attacks and threats motivated solely by a desire to hurt me, the worst kind of partisan politics. I just have to roll my eyes there. Partisan politics. What has the last 4 years been? It's just been nothing but attacks and talk about persecution of a guy who was the former president, just going after him like crazy. You're talking about partisan politics. It's just nonsense. It's it's this, right? You're doing the thing that I'm doing. Like, fuck off. Anyways, it says, unfortunately, I have no reason to believe these attacks will end. He said last month he pardoned his son Hunter for tax and gun crimes. Again, and I said this before on other podcasts. I'm not saying that I disagree with pardoning your son. It's your son, and the crimes that he was being charged for, and he's in trouble for. Yeah, in my mind, anyway, he didn't kill anybody. He didn't forcibly, He didn't force coitus on anyone. He didn't do anything super serious, in my opinion. So I'm not overly upset about that. And I think, yeah, given the opportunity, if I had a son who did something like that and I had the power to pardon them, I'd probably do it too. And I think a lot of people would do it. And I think self-righteous, there's a lot of self-righteous people that say they wouldn't do it and then given the opportunity would do it. So I'm not even shitting on them for that. But you're pre-pardoning the rest of your family because of what? Because they might be guilty of something and you're worried about it. It's just weird shit. And the family, I could kind of let go of the idea of pre-pardoning your family because you're worried about your family and your loved ones and stuff from any possible attacks or personal attacks or anything like that. But some of the other people like Fauci and Liz Cheney and all these people on the January 6th committee and Mark Milley, these people are getting pre-pardons. Why? These are political favors. This is paying back favors. This is protecting your tribe, essentially, right? So bullshit. That's what it is. Okay, so this goes on more dog shit in this article, so I don't really want to read further. You get the point. So that's what he did. I'm just going to go through now the list of the pardons. Now, here we go. This is Newsweek's list. I went on the government site. It mirrors this list essentially, but it does it in warrants. It doesn't actually. Does it weird. You can go and check the U.S. government site for a list of pardons, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But here it is. So here's a full list of individuals granted clemency. So it includes Biden's siblings and their spouses. So Biden issued pardons for his brothers, James Biden, Francis Biden, sister Valerie Biden Owens, sister-in-law Sarah Jones Biden, and brother-in-law John Owens. Gerald Lundgren, is a former Kentucky state legislator convicted in 2019 on campaign finance charges. The White House wrote that he demonstrated remorse. Okay, whatever. And that one I don't care either. Ernest William Camardi is a former Columbia, South Carolina councilman. Pled guilty to 2010 to tax evasion charges. Could care less. Fine. Leonard Pelletier, this guy was a Native American rights activist who was convicted of killing 2 FBI agents on a Pine Ridge Indian reservation in 1975. I don't know anything about this story, so I don't really know. I mean, it has been, 50 years? So, whatever, I guess. That's a bit of a stretch, but I don't know the story. So, could be that he's actually innocent, and that's a great one, but I don't know. Here we go. Now we're getting into the dog shit. Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infection Diseases during the COVID-19 pandemic in Trump's first administration. He was the target of right-wing criticism over his stance on vaccines and the origin of the pandemic. I love that. He was the target of right-wing criticism. No, he was the target of common sense criticism, maybe taken a little bit far from far right, as they always do. But I love how they put that in. This, by the way, is Newsweek. So you can't expect them not to peddle a bunch of bullshit in the middle of that. Mark Milley was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. During Trump's first presidency, he has said Trump is a fascist and a wannabe dictator. So, okay, because he called Trump some names. I know, because Trump has never, just let go of name calling and shit and stuff. Like, this is nonsense. Members in the staff of the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. So that's a bunch of different people. And then these last bunch are just people that are convicted of non-violent drug offenses, which is fine. I mean, those ones. I mean, I tend to believe that the drug offenses, the prison time on drug offenses is pretty crazy already. So I'm fine with the pardons on that kind of stuff. I think when you do like 10 years in that, you should be that's probably enough. But it's funny how they pepper in those ones inside of those bullshit pre-pardons. What do you guys got to say here? Kamala and Joe were rather out of sorts at the inauguration. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, they definitely were. I think so was Obama, really. Probably so was the gang. I mean, the whole gang. You can just hear the teeth grinding, under their breath, essentially. There should be no such thing as gun law in the United States. Hallmark characteristic of the political left. Milley committed treason. Yeah. Well, definitely when he was lying to the president and doing all that is treasonous, I would say. at the very least fireable offense. And yeah, I don't know. I would think at the very least that would be fireable and dishonorable discharge. That's what I would think, because you're first and foremost, as a general, would be to the good of the country. You can't decide, oh, I don't like this leader, so I'm just gonna do something against them. So the guy's a prick, but obviously he's got some power and he's got some friends in the right places, so that's why he's getting some pre-pardons. Biden's spreading them out like fucking jelly beans. Everybody gets one. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, this is I shouldn't be surprised. This is a Biden move. He's so overtly corrupt that this doesn't surprise me at all. He doesn't seem to care. Maybe it's because he's so old that he's not really worried about any kind of repercussions for what he's doing, or he just owes all. He's been in government for so long that he just owes so many favors to all the people. He just has to pay them. They made him president, and now he's got to pay back those favors. He's got to do some shit on the way out. Doesn't make it right, but well, that's politics, I guess. To convey strategic info to the Red Chinese. Yeah. Well, he did. Yeah, he did that. I don't know. I don't know enough about Milley to know the absolute details of what he did as far as that goes, as far as information being conveyed to foreign adversaries, including China. But I do know that he admittedly was lying and going against Trump. Like he admitted, I think he admitted in his book even. Right there is an admission of guilt. That should be enough to get something, to warrant something. I'm not saying necessarily prison time or anything, but at the minimum, fired and dishonorable discharge from the military. So, yeah, he did. He lied. Yeah, he did lie to Trump a lot. Told him Trump was bluffing. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I did hear that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a gray area, I guess, to say he's bluffing. It's definitely treasonous. I mean, if you're if you're trying to show strength with an adversary, and somebody comes along and says that you're full of shit, well, yeah, that's a problem. It doesn't really convey strength anymore. You know what? These people have all been outed anyway at this point, so it doesn't really matter. He's not going to be able to affect shit now. Milley's done. I think, oddly enough, the funny thing about this is these pre-pardons are basically an admission of guilt where they weren't going to have to. It's almost like the Streisand effect. They've put the light on it now where there wasn't going to be light. I don't think Trump was going to do any of that. I think he was going to be very concerned with his mandate. He was going to get to work, roll his sleeves up on that. He's not the kind of guy to I don't think he's the kind of guy to really dwell on that kind of shit. He just kind of moves along. Because I think he's been dealing with that for, decades in, New York real estate and all around the country, and the various deals that he's done and stuff. He's Teflon. He doesn't seem, none of that seems to stick to him. He doesn't seem to be bothered by criticism overly, but he definitely does have to, like, he's not the type to just take it and, turn the cheek. He has to throw it back. But it doesn't mean it's going to be like long sustained type conflict. He's just going to like punch back and that's it. So I just tend to think that he wasn't going to do anything. And now them doing that is just kind of like, outed themselves. So he doesn't really have to do anything now. People are all going to know you don't do that for people that are innocent. At the very least, them doing that is implying that the system is corrupt. That Trump will be able to use the system, this corrupt system, to go after his political adversaries or people that have spoken ill of him or people that have tried to screw with him through dealings and interfere with his government essentially. So I just think I think it's great that they've done that. I think it's stupid. It's just completely stupid. Sometimes you just let a stupid person just do stuff. Just, leave them. Don't interrupt them when they're doing things stupid. Just leave them alone. Let them hang themselves. I think that's kind of what they're doing. They're just kind of hanging themselves at this point. So, okay, let's get on to the next thing here. Talk about this a little bit. Weep. So the Doge boys, the Doge duo of Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk is kind of no more. And, well, I don't know. A lot of people saw this coming. I didn't actually see it coming because I didn't think it was going to happen right away. I wasn't sure. There was talk before that, he wanted to run for Ohio governor. Now with the current governor's term coming due, it's leaving a vacancy there. So he feels like that's the best move for him. I would have liked to have seen him in this Doge, this Doge committee to try and clean up the government spending. But I think Elon can handle it on his own. And now you take away two big, power guys, and maybe they wouldn't have been able to work together very well. So now you just get one, and it's not a power dynamic at this point. So it might be good. This might be good. But here's a little caveat to what was happening prior to that. Federal employees were quietly editing their job descriptions to protect them to protect themselves from the Doge scrutiny. This is a CNN article I thought was kind of funny, so I'll read it. Here we go. As President-elect Donald Trump's administration prepares to take over Washington, some federal employees are quietly changing the language of job descriptions and performance reviews in an effort to protect roles in critical government functions in the face of so-called Department of Government Efficiency. I love that. Of the so-called Department of Government Efficiency. Like, it's like a way to try and throw a dig into so-called government efficiency. Okay, CNN, you're garbage. You're not even a fucking real news outlet, so relax. Tech billionaire Elon Musk and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, who Trump tapped to lead the Outside Initiative, have said they plan to recommend slashing the federal workforce, cutting the government's annual budget by at least $1 trillion, and curbing regulations. Ahead of the initiative's deployment, 5 sources familiar with the effort, including senior staffers from multiple agencies, told CNN that some workers are removing mentions of policy decision-making and terms related to diversity programs from written job descriptions, duties, and performance reviews to protect the roles from possible cuts. I think that's hilarious. Like before, a year ago, it was like, yeah, I'm a DEI specialist. I'm in charge of policy review and new implementation of progressive initiatives and all this bullshit in their CV or resume if you're up here in Canada. And now they're like, oh fuck, edit that. Take those lines out. That's not going to work anymore. People are nuts. They're retarded. People are definitely reimagining how to communicate what they've done and do to try to escape scrutiny. Yeah. It's like if you've ever written, I'm speaking CV for you Americans, resume for us Canadians up here north, we call it a resume. Same thing. If you've ever written a resume or CV, you have to put all that bullshit in there. You have to if you were, I don't know, if you worked at a restaurant or something, you want to you want to just put in, I fucking waited staff. I did whatever. I bussed tables. I did this. But you have to find creative ways to put those in there. I helped implement initiatives for customer experience. Fuck off. You got to come up with that kind of bullshit. But in this case, it's funny because these guys came up with all this shit, all this DEI crap and all this, progressive woke nonsense. And now they're like, oh shit. If we leave that in there, these guys are going to know that we've got stupid jobs that don't really mean anything, that we probably could be completely axed and nobody'd even notice. So let's change our resume to show, or change our job descriptions to act like we're actually doing something. So this is hilarious. Doge does not have any direct power to make spending cuts, regulatory changes, or other moves. That authority belongs to Congress, though Musk's comments have been shown to carry weight with lawmakers. While the Doge effort exists outside of the government and will likely provide recommendations, Musk is reportedly set to have an office inside the White House. So, yeah, we know that it's going to be more than these aren't going to be just what do you call it? Recommendations from Musk. These are going to be, they're going to do them. These are going to be basically, he's going to uncover a lot of garbage, and they're going to implement some pretty big changes to cut a lot of this stuff. So, just funny. But now let's get to the real crux of the story. Vivek's not going to be part of that, unfortunately. Vivek's going to leave and run for Ohio governor. There was talk about this happening before. There was plans on it, and now it's happening. So, if you had some, high hopes of Vivek getting in there and making changes, well, he's going to have to do it remotely. He's not going to be part of this thing. I'm going to read this article. This is Yahoo News, but it's really an NBC News article, so take it with a grain of salt. Vivek Ramaswamy will launch a campaign for governor in Ohio early next week and is parting ways with President-elect Donald Trump's incoming Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. Two sources familiar with his plans told NBC News. Ramaswamy's interest in seeking office in his home state is not a surprise, but his decision to leave DOGE now removes him from the high command of a federal spending watchdog group that he was supposed to run with Elon Musk. He's leaving DOGE. He's going to announce early next week for governor, said one of the sources, who was granted anonymity to discuss preparations for a campaign that is not officially launched. It became increasingly clear over the last week that pursuing the governor's race and running DOGE was not compatible. He's leaving on good terms with Trump and Elon and the team. Which is funny that they say that, because there was talk that he wasn't, that he was leaving on bad terms, which, of course they're gonna try and do that. They're gonna try and throw division in there where they can, where it doesn't exist. But I don't think any of that. I think what this is Vivek being Vivek. He's looking for a presidential run in, well, technically be late 2026, I guess, when he'd start. And he's going to try and go for to be president for the 2028-32 cycle, right? So that's, and the good thing about Vivek, at least, is he's quite upfront about that shit. He's never really said he wants to play second fiddle to anybody, and him stepping into this DOGE role was just kind of a, stay on team, stay in this movement, essentially stay relevant in the movement. And now this is more a political move for him personally. What are you saying here? You're talking about resumes. Yeah. Call it a resume. CV is like a European thing. I thought you called it CVs in the States. Maybe I don't know. I've been told that it was, maybe you're saying that, Joe, because you're a borderline Canadian American. So you're too close. You're right on the cusp. You're like a baby. Yeah, I thought resume was from French. No? Well done. We're from French. I don't know. All my life it's been resume. So my standard resume is American. Resume sounds like a French word, doesn't it? Resume. When I first heard of CV, I thought it was a car drive train part. Sorry, Joe. You're Canadian. Anyways, okay, back to the DOGE guys. So so he's gonna run for Ohio governor, and I don't know if he's gonna win or not. He's got some stiff competition in Ohio, but he's got a big enough name. I think it's a little. See, this is where I think it's funny. This might be Vivek's whole problem. When he ran for president, he was relatively unknown, right? So he did pretty well as a relative unknown, and then steps out. Now he jumps into the Trump campaign, essentially backs Trump, and now into the Trump initiative, the DOGE thing, but it's not done anything. Like if you were to fast forward like 3-4 months from now, and he was in DOGE, and they did stuff, they actually were able to make some changes and stuff. People saw it, and you're starting to see the fruits of that effort. And then he leaves and he goes and runs for the Ohio governorship. Then it's like, okay, he's got a little bit under his hat on his resume. And but now it's kind of like he doesn't really have anything on his resume. Now he's got to go. Now he's fresh starting as running for Ohio governor. If this fails, he's just now a failed candidate for governor. It's like, I don't know how this works out for him. It's kind of a gamble. At least in the DOGE thing, he had a sure shot to show his mustard. Now he's just got to kind of like prove that he can do something. He can run for governor and get it. So this might backfire on him, but we'll see. Let me continue reading this article quick. Doge is one of the signature projects Trump is pushing for a second term after he is inaugurated Monday. Ramaswamy, a wealthy biotech engineer, if you don't know his history, made like $600 million selling a biotech company, briefly challenged Trump for the Republican presidential nomination last year before becoming one of his most visible and vocal allies. He had said that he was putting his Ohio political ambitions on hold to help lead the Doge effort. Well, he didn't really lead anything yet. At the time, Ramaswamy was taking himself out of the running for the appointment to the Senate vacancy in Ohio left by Vice President-elect J.D. Vance. So again, it's like he's missing all these sort of opportunities, right? Like, J.D. Vance gets out of that. He could run for that. He's saying, no, I'm not going to run for that. And then now the governorship comes up. He's in Doge. He goes, okay, well, I'm going to leave Doge now. I'm going to run for the... Like, it's almost like he's chasing his tail a little bit, especially if this doesn't work. It's going to be like, hey, this guy... had opportunity here. He missed it. He failed at his presidential run. He didn't do anything with Doge because he left too quick. Now he failed at this. It's like a series of kind of like missed opportunities and failures at the same time. So this, I just feel like this could potentially backfire on him unless he wins and he does some great shit with Ohio, and then maybe he's a shoe-in for the next president. So, but we'll see. Don't care to read any more of this. You get the gist. So Ramaswamy's out, unfortunately. If you're a big Ramaswamy fan and, you were hoping he would do some things with Doge, well, he didn't, and he's not going to. It's all Elon all the time. So get used to it, I guess. What he's saying here. He fucked up bad. People won't forget what he said. He's from the Rust Belt and calling us lazy, and we need to bring in Indians to take American jobs was a really, really dumb thing to say. Yeah. You're being a little hyperbolic on that, Joe, I think. But, yeah, I can see why people would be pissed off. I don't think it's exactly what he's saying. I think I'm parsing out what I would take from what he's saying when he's calling people lazy and stuff. He's saying that the new generation is more entitled, a little less roll your sleeves up, want to get to work type thing, which I don't think anybody can disagree with completely. But to say they're lazy's different. Like it's oddly enough, it's a very lazy way to categorize a generation. I don't think the new generation's lazy. I think the new generation is a little expectant, and I think the new generation sees things a little different, and they don't really see a path to all the things they want through hard work. And that's a problem with society. That's a problem with, destroying middle class, destroying blue collar jobs, that kind of thing. When you show that a guy or gal can go and, they can start an apprenticeship as a plumber or something like that, or an electrician or HVAC or something. And they're still struggling. They're struggling to buy a home. They're struggling, they're just struggling in general. That kind of puts a sour taste for a new generation that looks at it, and then they see the tech boom and they see, everything that can be done, online without getting your hands dirty, so they all want that. Understandably, I would want it too, but so it's really lazy to call them lazy. Just funny, double entendre on that one, but I get what he's saying, in other words, but if people are thinking the way you're thinking, Joe, then they might not get it. And he might have blown his chances just, talking off the cuff a little bit. Because when Vivek speaks off the cuff, the difference when Vivek does that is because he's so articulate all the time. You expect that he's going to be articulate in everything that he says. So when he's speaking off the cuff, you just take him literally. Now, when Trump does it, because he's so loose with his language and such, and he throws in sarcastic remarks and all this kind of stuff. You can kind of take what he says with a grain of salt. Only the people that are looking to persecute him or make him out to be a fascist or whatever will take him completely literal on a lot of the things that he says. Whereas other people kind of get the nuance and the joke. behind it, or even the meaning of the information, much like when he was talking about injecting, bleach into the human body. Not exactly what he was saying, but taking literal on one side and taking with jest on the other. So, but you could be right. I don't know. We'll see. Vivek's too bouncy by half. Don't think he spent enough time in the home country. Bouncy by half. That must be a little saying from Namibia, because I don't understand it. But I think I get what you're saying. He's very American though. Like he's completely. I think he was born in the U.S. right? So, well, he'd have to be if he's running for president. So he's very Western cultured. He's not, he's not Indian culture. He does have the, he does have so the Indian people typically have a very strong drive, especially business related and such. They if you see they have no problem working 2 and 3 jobs, and but in their mindset, it's more for an end goal. It's like, it's not to do it all the time. It's so they can do a thing. If they want to buy a house, they'll work 4 jobs, save, it's to that end goal. So they're very good with that kind of thing. So, but, and my sweater is expensive. Thank you, Chrissy, for noticing. It's cold in here. I'm cold. I'm in no way. I don't know this broad on the chat, so she's just throwing in comments in there. I don't know her, so sorry, girlfriend, watching or not watching. I don't know this woman. She just likes this sweater of mine, which is expensive. This is a bearskin sweater. Very expensive, nice, comfortable, warm sweater. I'm a chef. When I got out of school, I was making $25K and could have gotten a nice apartment or a small house. Now I can't even hardly afford a 1-bedroom just outside the ghetto. Yeah, I know, man. Joe, buddy, yeah. Well, you and I are so close geographically that we pretty much share the same problems that way. But I'll tell you, real estate in Canada is a lot worse. Everything in Canada is a lot worse. Taxes are worse. Just our quality of living, our ability to save, all kinds of things have just been eroded, especially over the last 10 years. But we're a very socialistic type country, so it's very hard to get ahead in Canada. That's why a lot of prominent Canadians will move to the States, because they can do better. But you're in a state that is that closely mirrors Canada. So I feel your plight, brother. The new gen is correct. Yeah, well, they're not. Yeah, I don't think they're wrong. I don't think they're stupid. I think the problem is, I think a lot of them are very impressionable. I think they're they got anger behind them because they're angry about the way things are and the way they, if they can't get ahead, you can't buy a house, you can't be part of an active community because you don't have ownership in it. Well, you might turn to progressivism and pointing fingers at the rich elites and the deep state and all this kind of stuff, which is funny because they're easily swayed to not look at the deep state, which would be the real reason for all these issues, because they're the ones in control, and they're pointing to the people that have beat the system, the rich, which aren't always the ones in control. Anyways, I remember in BC, 40 of them to a house till it's paid, then the next they work. Yeah, that it's still the exact same thing happens. They do it especially around where I am. They do the same thing. I'll like a whole family or a bunch of friends or whatever. They'll buy a house together, and that's what they do. They'll live in that for a while, and they don't have any problem with that because realistically, they're used to. I'm speaking of Indian people. If you're just tuning in now, they're used to living in smaller space and like on top of each other essentially. So they have no problem buying a 2,000 square foot house here and jamming 10 people in it. It's really not a big deal. It's only us. We're used to big space and such. But again, if what I applaud about it, what I think is great, is this idea that you're going to do a shitty thing for a small period of time for a goal. It's a very business-minded way of thinking. And a lot of people don't think that. A lot of people are too short-sighted to see the long term and be able to do things in small increments to plan for that long-term goal. And but they clearly are capable of doing it because they do it all the time, especially up here in the Great White North. Our eggs are now $6 because Gretchen Whitmer made a law saying all eggs must be free range to be sold in Michigan. She is a dumpster fire. That woman is garbage. She shouldn't be running a farm, let alone a state. Whitmer was hatched, not born. Yeah, that's probably why she's got the free range thing about eggs. You want to protect the eggs that she came from. It was called the Happy Chickens Act. Listen, I'm all for eating happy food. Like I always make jokes for like pigs when you get bacon that's it comes from happy pigs, that it tastes better. And so I'm all for that, but at the same time, only if you can match the price down, give them subsidies and stuff to make sure that the prices come down, and allow us to eat healthier, free range shit and stuff, and then okay. But just jamming a stupid Happy Chickens Act in there, and then the price is, you're paying the price as the consumer at the end, is bullshit. Yeah, passed by a miserable bunch of hens. Oh yeah, she was hatched and passed by a miserable bunch of hens. Yeah, I agree. Gentlemen, listen, that is probably enough. That's enough over here, I think. We're almost at an hour, 57 minutes, and it's about time for me to go eat something, get less chilly. This sweater's been helping. We're saying free range chickens get to wander 4 feet out of the barn. Yeah, it's real free range. Yeah, it's big time. Guys, thanks for being with me. This was fun. It's always fun talking to you guys. Robert, thanks for always staying up with us. Very much appreciated, buddy. If anybody watching, Robert's from the great continent of Africa, and it is late over there. It's going on 2:00, I guess, over there now. And so when he's with us in the chat, it's a pleasure and a privilege for us to be able to talk to you, buddy. Anybody else watching and not getting in the chat, you don't have any excuses. You're not late morning. You're here. You're with me at the same time, so you can get in the chat and talk. And if you're watching, I've seen a lot of viewers coming in and out, so you're just coming in, checking it out, and then leaving, which is kind of sucks. But yeah, Joe's got to go walk the dogs in minus 25-degree weather. We're all dealing with plights over here. It's problems. It's a lot of problems over here. So the least you could do is get in the chat. And the other least you could do is subscribe to the channel. It doesn't take a lot to subscribe. It's actually just a little push of a virtual button. Subscribe to the channel, like the content, all that kind of stuff. If you like it, if you don't like it, well, then whatever. There's lots of other channels. There's lots of other live broadcasts to go check out. But if you do and you want to support it, that's the best way to support it. Also, you can check out Skibits of the podcast during the week. I drop at various times between Tuesday and Sunday during the week at 5 p.m. Eastern always. So you can look for it then. And like, share, comment, all that kind of stuff. That helps. So again, if you do like the channel, comment even if it's a negative comment. I don't care. Just make it funny. I always say, make it funny. Make me laugh. Make other people reading laugh. Don't be a troll. Don't be an unfunny garbage POS troll. Be a funny troll. That's the way it is. So you guys are talking about dogs. Don't have a dog, so I'll let you guys talk amongst yourself. But again, thanks guys, and we'll see you next week, 7:00 Eastern Standard Time, where we'll talk about some other stuff. Until then, take it easy.